Hello, everybody. This is Mr. Lundquist, principal at Mount Horeb High School. This is a presentation that we gave last night. I'll be kind of walking back through it. As you can see, I will move this. There is a QR code that you can scan to have access to this, and there will be a link, and I'll also link this presentation in this message as well. So welcome. We're excited to have you here, excited to have the class of 2026, biggest class in the district. Just excited to have this class. A lot going on, a lot to talk about, but just try to put you at ease and give you a little overview. This will be about a 20-minute presentation, so kind of settle in, and we'll talk about a couple different things. Today's agenda, we're going to talk about introductions, bell schedule, talk about the dress code, attendance, go through tardies, which is part of attendance, cell phone policy, one-to-one. I'll go through some activities and athletic stuff that Colleen talked about last night, and then where do you go if you need information? First off, I am there in the middle. My name is Cody Lundquist, principal here, going to my fourth year. Associate principal Talisa Corcoran there on your right. She's been here for her fourth year as well. And Colleen Nessheim has been here for a while. She went to high school here. Athletics activities director, as well as an associate principal. So that's the high school administration team. We love being here, proud to be here. All three of us live in the community. All three of us have children. I have a 7-year-old who's going into second grade. Talisa has a son who's going to be 1. I also have a daughter who's going to be 2. Colleen has two children who are out of high school, both graduated from Mount Horeb, and a son who's a freshman. So very much involved. We are part of the Mount Horeb community, and we love being here. So just get to know us a little bit more. Let's jump into the bell schedule. I'm going to let you process this for a minute. It looks like a rainbow, right? And you'll notice a couple different things. And I'm going to talk a little about the history to understand why we have this type of schedule, a 5-day rotation called the drop schedule, where a couple periods don't run each day, they're dropped. We've always had 8 class periods because we really find the value of making sure kids have opportunities to take music and take art and tech ed and ag and all these amazing electives that we have. We have such a strong elective program. And we also wanted a little bit longer class periods. We run at 42 minutes, and that is a sprint. If you're sitting there and you're trying to jump in and do some clay or do some welding or PE or even have kids do presentations and actually have just good instruction, you need longer class periods. And so we came up with a little bit of a hybrid here where we have opportunities for 8 courses and we're able to have longer class periods. And so that's what kind of birthed out this schedule. 3 things to note. You'll see stats, student to teacher access time that happens every day. Students will learn how to use a program called Edficiency. Again, parents, I know that you're going to probably say, I still don't understand this. You don't need to understand it. So don't worry about that. Your kids will, a week or 2 in, they'll get it. STAT is these students will use a program called Edficiency. This is where they will sign up to see teachers. Teachers can sign up to request them. And it's time our interventions happen. Kids need to go retake a test. It's really an opportunity for a student to choose where they want to go. And we'll try to be very mindful and useful, and we want students to pick where they need to go. Yes, sometimes they pick where friends are, but we really want to focus on where do you need academically. I would tell students, if you have stat and you have a study hall, I don't know why you would have a lot of homework at night. I just don't know. If you're using this time efficiently, if you're using this time right during stat and study hall, you shouldn't have a lot of work at home. That's part of what we're doing here is time to get work, study, homework done, catch up, to check in with teachers, work on projects. You can get that done during the school day. That should relieve that time at night. And it's supposed to be about mental health and focusing on you. So students are coming home with a ton of homework. I would honestly be asking, what are you doing during stat? What are you doing during study hall if you have a study hall? A lot of kids who don't have a study hall because stat's the only thing they need for, which is great. You have advisory, which you see every A-day. You'll have the same advisor for 4 years. This is where we work on career planning, grade checks. There are some social emotional learning. There are stuff that happens with Zello, state mandated pieces. So we also do kind of building wide activities during this time. It's an opportunity for students to stay with the same group, build community, but also do some learning that goes outside of kind of that core academic piece that we need to do. So that's the second thing. The third and last thing I want you to notice is that there are 2 lunches. And the lunch is based on what your teacher has for lunch, and you'll see an attached document in this email that has the teacher lunch. And so if I have, let's see, Heidi Lemke for math and 4th period, she has lunch first. I'm going to go to lunch first because then I'm going to go to her class second. And then in 5th period, let's say she has lunch second. I'm going to go to class first, then I'm going to go to lunch. And so you'll see how that breaks down. I have a tool actually in the next slide or two here that will help you navigate through and kind of plug it in so students know where to go and what to do. But this is the bell schedule. It's available on the website, on our slides. Students always know what day it is. It is on our, TVs that are all over the building. It's on windows. It's all over the place. Students will know what day it is, or they could just ask the kid next to them, to be honest. They'll know what they have going on that day. This is what it can look like in Infinite Campus. You could have it print out this way, or you can have it just go a straight 1 through 8. This represents what it looks like for a student, a kind of 8A, A, B, C, D, E. The straight 8 is actually okay. And I'll show you why in a moment to have as well, because it'll help you with the tool. Two things to just notice here. The 6 ER, 7 ER, 5 ER, that is because of early release. Just ignore that in this schedule. You also see a 2 and a 2A. Well, that's because on 8As, second period actually happens at a different time than it happens on B or D days. And so that's why the way Infinite Campus works, that's why I think this way is confusing. So I'm going to give you a tool, and you're actually going to have an opportunity. If you open up the slideshow, you'll be able to click where it says Tool to Help. And this is a tool that you'll have access to. It's a Google Sheet. I would say make a copy. You can't edit this one. Make a copy. Get rid of the stuff that's at the bottom where it says Algebra 2 Lemke Biotech. That's an example that actually it's connected to this schedule. You remove that stuff and you want to put your student stuff in. That's why if you have the schedule that's just straight 1 through 8, it's actually fine because it will help you plug in based on the color key up above where to go. You'll also use the tool that is the teacher lunch to put the X where you have lunch each day to help navigate. Students would have this attached to the back of their phone under the phone case, back on their phone for a while, on a binder with them. It was a very useful tool last year. I would highly, highly, highly recommend using this tool for students to help navigate when they have classes where to go through. So we have this video. There's a link that is the slideshow that you can then click on Tool to Help. And there's also an attachment that is the teacher lunch to help match with the spell schedule. Here's the rotation of days for September. This is also included in the email. It's also on our website. And so you'll be able to see, okay, next Thursday is just freshmen. Friday is an A day. Okay, and then there's no school that Monday. Then we have a B day on the 6th, C day, and likewise you kind of go through. The 30th is the homecoming schedule. It is a D day. Classes are a little bit shorter because there's the parade and there is like an assembly. There's some stuff that happens that day. And so, this number, you can see the whole year planned out. E day is not always Friday. So just be aware that it doesn't always land on a Friday. Very rarely actually ends on a Friday based on our schedule. If there's a snow day, if for instance, there's a snow day on a B day, that B day is gone. We don't reset the whole calendar, that we lose that day. And that's for a variety of different reasons, but you'll have access to this as well. So take a look. You can start to plan things out when things are due. I think honestly, organizing a schedule, the physical schedule, knowing when things are, takes about 2 weeks. It's actually that pacing. Okay, I don't have class every day. This is very much like college where you're only going to each class 3 out of every 5-day rotation. And so you have to, okay, when is this due? When's that due? This is happening when, and I would say that organizational piece is probably the biggest challenge to get over, and students need to have some tools in order to do that. So that will be something students will have to work through as they kind of get into it. Let's jump into dress code a little bit. I know at the middle school, they recently allowed hats and hoods. We've allowed hats and hoods for 4 years here. Again, pretty basic. We let students kind of wear what they want, to be honest. We really try to, old dress codes used to be very gender specific, and I would say actually bias against those who identify as female. And so I think what's nice is what we've adopted is the national organization created some dress codes that a lot of schools have adopted to kind of, really flatten that out and really be more about equity in terms of that gender, that gender identification, what they're wearing. I mean, you can't wear things with alcohol and tobacco, marijuana, drugs. I see, a Miller Time shirt or even implying Miller Time. We're going to ask a student to take that off or turn that inside out. Can't depict pornography, nudity, sexual acts. I think that should be pretty obvious, but I'll say it. You can't depict profanity or innuendo of any profanity, right? Or have hate speech targeting individuals or groups based on race, ethnicity, and kind of second here. It just needs to make everyone feel safe. Your clothing should not insult other people. if your clothing's insulting other people, you're gonna have a tough time out in the community getting a job. And I'll be honest, like you might want to look at what you're wearing. So except for now, as a Bears fan, I would say a Packers shirt might offend me, but I can get over that. But again, we don't have a lot of issues with this. If it even implies a curse word, right, we're going to ask you to take it. We're going to change it, right? If there's a common phrase out there, WTF, like, yep, okay, I'm going to have you. That's not appropriate here in a school, right? It implies the curse word. Yes, a student can have a political shirt as long as it's not hate speech, as long as it's not having an innuendo or curse words or something violent, right? There is freedom of speech, but we do have parameters on that. And as administration, we'll be the ones addressing that. But we just ask you, just think before you put something on. Families, take a look at what your kid's wearing. Make sure that it's appropriate for school, and we'll be fine. I don't see a ton of issues with this, but I just want to be really clear. Hate speech things, we don't allow Confederate flags. We do not allow anything with curse words or against certain groups. We try to be very open. And, the district board adopted an equity statement that I would say aligns with putting action into those words. So I'll digress there and just kind of get into what's next. What do we have here? Attendance. Attendance is important, right? Have your parents call in if you're going to be absent, have an appointment. Please call in to Patty Weber. We'll have a number up here in a little bit. Make sure attendance is taken care of. Bring a doctor's note if you're absent, do an appointment. Please try to bring it in as timely as you can. We don't like to have to go back and fix things once you're truant, because you had try to get that note as much as you can. If there's an ongoing issue or an ongoing ailment or an ongoing thing that's happening, and the doctor's excusing, saying, well, for the rest of the school year, if there's an ongoing absence that is happening during a certain time due to medical condition, we need a note every month. It is not just this empty blank check. Every month we need a note from the doctor dated to the new date to let us know that that's continuing to be an excused absence. So know that that's there. Babysitting, work, car trouble are not actually excused absences. If you have to work, you need to work with your employer to have it not during school time. You get 10 sick days and 10 parent request days. If you exceed all of those, hopefully we've had some meetings and conversations where trying to problem solve, but you can get a truancy ticket. We work with the Mount Horeb Police Department or Dane County, depending on where you live, to have a truancy ticket. We don't like to get there. If you're here, you're learning. And it's really important that you're here. And it's just an important piece of it. One thing to know though, if you're tardy 5 times, it counts as an absence. Right. So if between 1 minute and 15 minutes is a tardy, after 15 minutes is unexcused absence. Right. And so that teachers know that. That's how they identify you. Just keep an eye on it. Like Ms. Nessheim said last night, I would highly recommend that you probably get the notification from an Infinite Campus if your kid is tardy or absent. So when you get that little notification, you can say, well, what was going on in algebra? Why were you late for algebra today? Or why weren't you there? And have that accountability in that conversation. Students need to be here, period. That's how they learn. The research tells us, the data tells us, if you're here, you're learning. If you're learning, you're going to be successful and you're going to do great things. Students need to be here in school. School is not optional, right? They need to be here. They need to be learning. They need to be bettering themselves and be engaging in the content curriculum and with staff. And this is part of it. I would also share before I move on from attendance, it's a habit to get into now. Last year, we had about a half a dozen students who could not walk at graduation because they were considered habitually truant the last semester of their senior year. We will hold people accountable, and students will not walk at graduation if they're habitually truant this semester prior to if they're that going into their graduation. Get in the habit now of being here. It's a habit that will help you in the work world. It will help you your senior year. It's just a good thing to be where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, and on time, right? You'll be much better off in life if you figure this out now. So that's kind of our tardy and absence policy. Co-curricular. I'll speak for Colleen here. You cannot, unless you have a doctor's note that day of, and you're gone on a day where there's an event or a game, you can't just sleep in and have the parent excuse you. You cannot then compete. You are ineligible. This is WIA rule. You need to be here on the days of your events and your games. If you have a doctor's appointment that day, you better come back with a note. Not the day after, because if you don't have a note, we have no evidence of that and you're not eligible. So we need you to have that note. This is probably one of the toughest conversations, the most common one Colleen has with people about not being eligible because of attendance. Be in school, you don't have to worry about it. Pretty simple. If you're going to be gone for an extended period of time, it is on you as a student and the family to reach out to the teachers to come up with a plan, and hopefully you're reaching out ahead of time. There's times where a family's like, hey, we're leaving for a week on Monday. What can we do? How long do you know about the trip? Well, if you know about it for 2 months, how have you not been working with teachers prior to this, right? Your fire is not the teacher's emergency because you didn't communicate. So please be communicating with teachers ahead of time to give them an opportunity to come up and decide what that plan will be while you're gone. We also just ask you to do those when there's not school happening, and we don't run into that, but please make sure you're communicating with your teachers prior to these events happening, especially for these extended periods of time. It'll make your life a lot easier, just like you would do with a job. You'd let somebody know ahead of time. You wouldn't just tell them the day before. Cell phones. So cell phones are something here at the high school that we do allow. We allow cell phones. Each classroom has kind of a stoplight identifier. Red means no personal technology, better be away. AirPods, cell phone, better be away. What you're seeing here is a cell phone locker. Padded, those are like kind of a styrofoam thing in there. Teachers, and this will be new for all grades, some teachers have these, many have them, and might say, okay, when you walk in, you're putting it in the slot and maybe giving you a number. I don't know how each teacher is going to be specifically using it, but they may be using it to say, you're not having your cell phone here. And so you don't have your cell phone in, you're going to put it in that slot. It's going to be locked, protected, safe. And at the end of the class period, you can get it. Some will say you can have it out. Oh, we're doing an assessment or writing a paper. I need you to put it in there. Some might use it as, look, if you can't handle it, I'm going to ask you to put it in there as more of a punitive piece, not a proactive piece. Some may not use it at all. Others don't have them right now. They might get them later. Students need to learn to code switch. Every teacher has some different expectations. There's a lot of research right now, and the data is telling us these cell phones are a problem. They're becoming a bigger problem in terms of the amount of attention students have and what they're paying attention to and how it's impacting their brain. Even the cell phone sitting in front of them, face down in their backpack, actually still having an impact on the brain. And we need to find ways to kind of like separate that and focus on the learning. And so this is a tool that will be used. We can procure a phone. If a phone is a problem, it's going to come down here and sit in the office the rest of the day, and a kid can pick it up at the end of the day. If they're still being defined and it's still a problem, we'll keep it until the parent can come pick it up, and that won't be very convenient. And if it then continues to be a problem, which we hope we never get here, we're going to have either a student don't bring it, or we're going to lock it up in the morning. We don't want to have to get to that point. We want to be a progression and give students the opportunity to learn how to use it, how to use it right. But no, the conversation we'll also be having with staff is if your indicator is red and you're locking cell phones up, the teacher should also be on their cell phone as well. We'll have that conversation with the teachers, but we need to learn how to use these cell phones and these devices. This is really important. This is an important skill of when to bring it out, when not to bring it out, when to have it, when not, when you should even have it in a meeting, and learning to live without it. Because I'm telling you, it's a distraction. They're a problem, and we got to find ways to live with these a little bit better. And I will tell you, even my own personal belief on this has shifted away from being like, we got to figure out how to use them. Everyone should have them. You guys got to figure out how to teach people to use it. And at some point, we need to realize that it's a problem, and we need to start doing some better teaching around it. And so that's what part of this is here. One-to-one, every student does need a device. We have enough here for almost all the students. You can bring your own laptop if you would like. You have to log into our system, which does have its own filters. But you do need, we also have access to our Chromebook, which gives out advisory. So that gets checked out like a textbook in advisory. So if you need it, we've got them. If you want to bring your own device, that's fine. But then if you get into the school, you're like, look, I do want a school one, you can check out from the library. There are some insurance options in Infinite Campus as you register. I would highly recommend that you have some sort of insurance if you are using ours, because you don't want to be paying for it at the end of the school year. Again, it is checked out like a book. There could be fees that apply at the end of the school year for broken pieces and that. So just take advantage of that. But we are a one-to-one building, and we're getting closer where we won't even allow student personal laptops. But for right now, we do allow it as we kind of slowly work into more of a cycle with the Chromebooks. I'm going to try to be Colleen for a moment here with athletics activities. We have a ton of athletics. Everyone kind of knows. I mean, we've got football going right now, soccer, cross country, swimming, volleyball, there's all these things going on, golf. Yet we also have a ton of activities. I mean, we've got forensics and drama club, chess club, which was huge last year during STAT. Academic Decathlon, DECA, which is a great, is amazing group. Saga is a fantastic group, a big one. Link Crew, Spanish Club, all these amazing groups. Esports, which was like, we're going to start this group. We'll see how much it took off. There's like 60 kids last year. Data tells us, research for years has told us over and over, if your student's involved in an activity, a group, connect with the school, attendance is better, grades are better, and they're more likely to be successful after high school. Get involved. This is really important. You want to be part of something. Next Thursday, there will be kind of an activities fair where students can go and see all the different activities they can be part of at the end of the day. So for 9th grade, you can see all that. You see all that's out there. If you want to be in a winter or spring sport, that sign up stuff will start to come out. The one big thing that you want to make sure is get that physical in, get that physical taken care of. I think that probably holds up most students, and sometimes it's hard to get in the doctor right now. So get that physical taken care of, be part of something, be engaged with this school. The more you're engaged, the more with your peers, the better, more successful you're going to be. That's just, the data tells us that. It's just clear. So follow that research, follow that, be part of the community. And you're going to have a great time. We have some amazing, amazing opportunities for students here that we're really proud of. Lastly, kind of where do you go if you need help, right? If you're working in attendance, if you need an appointment, if you need to, you're coming back, clearing up an absence, Patty Weber, number right there, 437-7200 is the attendance line. That's the number you want to call. Main office is Kelly Richardson and Kim Zoller, and they kind of work on a variety of different pieces, odds and ends. Kelly's very primarily focused on athletics and activities and supporting Colleen and all that goes into that. And they're some of the nicest people to meet. And we've had Kim Zoller there. She's fantastic. She will take care of all your, she's just great. Reach out. She kind of, I would say, runs the main office. And I would say these folks actually probably run our building. We're just kind of along for the ride. They are amazing people. And so our main office, that's Kelly and Kim Zoller. Student services, we have Stephanie Love is the admin assistant there. You see her number. We do student scheduling. So you have your schedule. You're wondering if you have questions about it. Satish Kittleson and Carrie Winnicky are the counselors. You can go through Stephanie to set some time up, or you can email either one of those counselors through the student services page on our website. Mental health supports. Not only do our school counselors help out support with that, we have amazing social workers. We have amazing school psych. We have Oregon Mental Health come in and support people. If you have a therapy appointment that you need to get to, that's maybe a telehealth, like you don't want to leave school, let us know. Reach out to Stephanie. We'll find time. We'll get a space for it, get a laptop. We'll find a way for you to be able to continue that. We know mental health is so critical. If a student is not where they need to be with their mental health and engaged, they're not going to learn, right? And so part of it is making sure students feel safe. They can come in here and learn and feel like they're in an okay place. We want to help support that. So I highly, highly recommend. We have amazing mental health supports and so much to offer. Please reach out if your student is struggling, or if you're a struggling student, stop in student services. A ton to offer there. Transcripts, academic records, you don't necessarily need quite to know yet. You will as you get older. Silver Cord, 140 hours will get you Silver Cord when you graduate. That is volunteer time, not being paid. So if you're helping out, raking leaves, you're not being paid, you're volunteering with the group, great opportunity for Silver Cord. There's a form. You hand that to Stephanie. Gets an Infinite Campus that gets tracked there. So those are kind of a real brief overview of those three, what they do, and how they help us really keep this building going. Ton of great people, lots of knowledge are there to help you out. And please reach out to them if you have questions. So this is when people wander the building. I just want to say before you click no, and you probably already maybe hit stop, but just thank you for having your students here. We're so excited to have this class. You have so much fun stuff planned. Hopefully another year of normalcy, really moving into more normalcy after last tough couple years. We know the bell schedule can be confusing. Please click on the link in the slideshow to make sure that you have that tool, get the schedule in there, get used to that. If you want to come back on the 30th, you can. If you weren't here last night on the 24th, get your lock, you can come on the 30th and get your picture taken. It'll be a little bit crazier here. Get your picture taken, get your lock, purchase your locks, walk the building. Teachers will be here that night. So you have that opportunity. And then on the 1st, next Thursday, we're back at it. School starts in a week from today for our 9th graders. We're just really excited to have you here next week. So please reach out if you have questions. We hope this information was helpful, but not overwhelming. You can always reach out to myself, to Lisa, Colleen, if you have questions. And again, just kind of take a look at the links that or the information we provided in this message too. Will really help you get jump started. So have a wonderful weekend, and we cannot wait to see everybody next week on Thursday.